The British had quite a long period of fighting in South Africa. As I say, we started the Cape Wars, the 24th Foot in particular were there from 1874. Most of the soldiers who fought in the Boer War of 1881, a very short campaign, were actually veterans of both the Zulu War and some of the old Kaffir wars prior to that. So they were battened, hardened soldiers, they knew their business, they knew the score. And Lieutenant Colonel Anstruther, in charge of the 94th Column, was quite confident that the Boers presented no problem. They're just moving forward to occupy from there. And his General Colley, actually says he's not worried about actually fighting the Boers. He said, I can actually beat the Boers just by taking a couple of companies with pickaxe handles. They're only farmers. So we have a very, very confident military structure that doesn't see the Boers as a particularly difficult thing. As Anstruther's moving his column through, he's got only 800 riflemen with him. His band's playing, he's got his baggage train, his wives and children with him as well, because they're going to go to garrison at Puigfontein. And as things transpire, Anstruther is challenged by some of the Boer outriders. The Boers themselves are a mix of the old Transvaal plus some Cape Boers. You've got Joubert, you've got De Wet, and Paul Kruger himself. And basically, when Anstruther is stopped by the Boers, they're actually saying, do you realise we've actually declared this is the Boer Republic? Anstruther's not aware of that. He said, no, this is the Boer Republic, this is Queen Victoria's territory, it's nothing to do with this. I don't know what the hell's going on. And unfortunately, for him, his column is surprised. At this point, we should be booing and hissing, I think, shouldn't we? Quite right. Good loyal subjects of Her Majesty Queen Victoria. Excellent stuff. It's quite surprising they've actually found a Boer who can write as well, which is quite a... They must have paid him a couple of gold coins for that. Anstruther, quite rightly, is a good British officer, treats it with the contempt it deserves, damn them. So that's literally a red rag to the Boers. They've been told that the British, as far as they're concerned, don't accept anything to do with their damn republic, and as far as we're concerned, we will continue our movement towards Puigfontein itself. Anstruther's obviously concerned because he's got armed troops to his front, and so he runs back to his column and deploys his infantry in skirmish order. And unfortunately they start to come under fire from the Boers themselves. Anstruther's not actually expecting this. He's not going into a battle, he's not actually expecting a war. As far as he's concerned, he's just marching to a garrison duty. But the Boers, equipped, I say with martinis that we've actually sold them, actually start to use cover a lot better than the British. There's quite a difference between both the Brits and the Boers themselves. British regular soldiers, the Boers commandos form from anybody over the age of 14 upwards. They've been born in the saddle, they can shoot, they know how to hunt, they're much superior marksmen to the Brits. But Anstruther's coming up against battle-hardened and trained British regulars. Now you see straight away one of the problems we have in the late Victorian period where we're using black powder weapons. At the end of the day, the moment you start to fire, you give away your position. So whatever happens from there, the Boers themselves are probably going to be in the advantage. We're used to actually firing by volleys. The Boers are more independent. So our British volleys, marvellous against our normal enemies, the Zulus, the Hadendawa tribes in Sudan. You're firing against 20,000 soldiers coming at you en masse. But the Boers, individual targets, having real problems to actually cover. And it seems like Mr. Anstruther may have some problems. We have Boer outriders coming on the flank here. If he's got any sense, he's got to pull back, but he's a lieutenant colonel, so the chances of that are fairly remote. He's throwing forward a couple of our outriders. We did have Boers fighting on our side. One of the most famous one of them was the commander of the Pretoria Garrison Artillery, who changed sides about 3 times over a decade, where he supported both the British and the Boers themselves. And the Boers quite easily see off our British infantry column. Pochfontein itself, also known as Bronkhorstspruit, the Boers actually shot down 140 odd British killed, wounded another 300 of the column, wiped the whole column out in less than about 10 minutes. Major victory for the Boers, and they saw us off with ease. Anstruther himself was shot 5 times. Most of the British casualties were shot at least 3 to 4 times themselves. The Boers were very good while wounded. They actually treated them quite kindly, although they did strip them of their boots and ammunition, etc. We continue with those similar problems at the start of the Boer War. We then, Colley and his troops are trying to reinforce the commandos, and they as they're coming towards to replace the British garrisons, they suffer defeats at Ingogo River and at Lang's Neck. And basically what happens then is the Boers start to invest various garrisons. Little small petty packets of garrisons, the largest, as I say, at Pretoria, the capital, but there's all manner of various, perhaps 20 to 30, 50 men strong garrisons besieged by Boers. And as we've seen our British infantry off at Pochfontein, we're now going to move slightly back towards a slightly different setup, which is the Pretoria siege. The white building you have in front of you there, representing Pretoria, actually it's quite a good representation of bits of South Africa. If you've seen the Wrigley tin huts out there. And just to spread the Boers particularly keen on actually the chaps fighting on our side. Not to mention a problem in 1881, but becomes a major problem in the Second Boer War, where even now, if your people fought on the British side, if we went with the bitter enders, there's quite a division in South Africa about who stood and who didn't. So we're now moving towards Pretoria, and our Boers are attempting to assault there. Pretoria was under siege for around about 20-25 days. It was almost very like the Crimean War in terms of the trench warfare, the trench raids, night raids. We were lucky that we'd actually captured the Boer artillery at Pretoria when we took over the Boer barracks there, and so we were quite well equipped with artillery. The Boers had some artillery, a couple of pieces that they'll be firing from over there. One of which was an old ship's gun, another one was a very out-of-date muzzle-loading piece. Our artillery piece that we have over at the White House there is actually an 1861 Whitworth. It's within 4 serial numbers of the ones that the Boers were issued with, so it's exactly the same as the guns that were used in Pretoria. And although there were these very sort of small-scale sieges that didn't actually achieve a lot, Colley was still trying to push forward to actually get to the Transvaal itself. And he ends up going through one of the major passes in the Transvaal, Illadubs, Majuba, and at Majuba he occupies expecting that the Boers can't get there. Massive escarpment, very, very well protected. You have to be a man to goat skeletons, I think he writes in one of his letters. Unfortunately, the Boers are very, very good for using cover, and at Majuba they give us a very bloody nose. Those of you who read Detling remember the phrase from Detling, wiping something off the slate, because there's a picture in a cartoon after Majuba in Punch of us being told you must write 100 times, remember Majuba, because it's a tactical disaster for the British Army. It's quite ironic that perhaps the only reason that we were quite keen to take on the Boers and look at capturing their territory was the fact that we were after the gold reserves and diamond reserves that we didn't actually know about for the 1890s. Our imperial ambition was very much for the land, but by the 1880s, 1890s, when they actually discovered that there is diamond reserves at Kimberley and other Mackin and other diamond mines, suddenly the British started looking at thinking, well, maybe we should have another go at the Boers. Cecil Rhodes is busy looking at what he can and can't do with things, and Joe Chesterton, the Foreign Secretary, is in a position where he's actually pushing for the imperial expansion. As I say, we now start re-entering a little bit of an artillery duel between our Boers and our British Whitworth, and unfortunately some of our Victoria garrison there a little bit exposed on that flank where Boer cavalry is looking at possibly investing and inflating on their rear. So during the siege of Pretoria there were a number of sallies on both fronts. The Boers themselves weren't particularly enthusiastic fighters. They were a small population, they didn't have large numbers of people, and they all knew one another. And it's much more difficult if you're not a professional soldier to send your brother or your uncle forward with the possibility of getting killed. So they were very good at taking British soldiers' casualties, but they were averse to taking their own people as casualties. They weren't keen on actually pressing forward. In fact, in the Second Boer War of 1899 to 1902, when one of the Irish-American mercenaries, a chap named McMahon, turns up, he says, we want to fight alongside you Boers, we believe in your reach freedom, etc. The only response he gets from the Boer general, thank goodness you're here, you can get killed instead of our people. And it seems that our Boer cavalry have been seen off, forming on the flank there, and unless the Boers are going to be particularly heroic and charge forward, I don't think there's much of a chance of them actually taking Pretoria today. They don't seem too keen at the moment. And in fact, in all the sieges, no Boers actually capture any of the British forts or fortifications. So in some cases, we were actually holding with garrisons of 20 to 25 men. So they weren't exactly that keen on taking us on. That says we struggled with the peace treaty in 1881. And we really accept the fact that we haven't got the troops we can put into Africa to resolve the thing quickly. We don't want a bloody war against other white Europeans, albeit the Dutch settlers in South Africa. We sign a very, very sort of favourable treaty towards the Boers. Our Boers pulling back. Looks like they're not actually going to be able to, say, take the capital today. And our last thing, stand, artillery sees them off. And I think as the Boers disappear, we can call a ceasefire, 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 gentlemen. Typical of the damn Boers, we say ceasefire, what do they do? They deserve a boo for that, don't they? Boo hiss, you damn rotters. Thank you very much. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Good, good, good. Right, I hope that's given you a little flavour of some of the campaigns in Africa. If you've been to South Africa, this isn't too unrealistic a terrain or conditions. We're in about sort of 65, 70 today, and the good spring of South Africa is this sort of weather, and certainly in Natal, as you go into Zululand, you'd actually see very much similar terrain. It's not dirt, burnt, arid stuff at this time of the year. It's actually quite green and pleasant. We're lucky that a number of us have actually fought in South Africa. We reacted against the Zulus in 1999-2009, and also for the 100th anniversary of the outbreak of the Second Boer War in 1899. So we're now going to just check our weapons, and we'll just recall both our British infantry into the centre of the arena and our Boers to join us in the centre arena, please. A little bit about the groups represented here. We're a multi-group collection, mainly the bulk of the infantry being supplied by the Diehards Company Victorian Military Society, the Middlesex Regiment, rebadged today as 24th Foot. We're also being supported by the 2nd Queens, and many our Royal Artillery, Whitworth Piece there, are members of the Royal Artillery, both in blue and also in 24th kit as well. Our Boer opponents, our Boogers today, supplied gamely quite enthusiastically by the Crusades, who are a multi-period reenactment group, and we're very privileged to be with them. This is the first time we've worked in this scenario and with these certain numbers today. So we just pulled the section in. There's a couple of sort of special thanks to people. As I say, I'd like to thank Tony as people from the Crusades most certainly. But amongst our ranks we have today a gentleman who has actually come over from Canada, especially to be with us. So Private Dean's well done. I think he's a round of applause for him. It's good to see that some of our colonials still want to actually stand with British regulars. That's excellent stuff. Although it was always said that we actually won the best parts of America, and when we lost war with defence, we kept the best bits, which is Canada itself. So we're now going to reform our chaps into the centre. So to finish our display, we're just going to bring in most of the groups. We're not going to ask our artillerymen to drag their pieces because we've got quite some heavy pieces of original kit here. The 61 is around about 100 weight, so you don't really want to be dragging it out of the sun unless you really have to. So we'll leave our artillery at the corner there, but the rest of our opposing forces will fall in. As I say, marking off from your left, we have some of our Boer riders of the Crusades, the Diehard Company Middlesex Regiment, 2nd Queens, and the Crusades themselves. And we're going to finish off by giving a general salute to the crowd and 3 hearty cheers for Her Majesty Queen Victoria. Then, rather sportingly, 1 cheer for Johnny Booja. And on behalf of the troops of the Anglo-Boer War, thank you for your time and attention, gentlemen. Thank you very much.